Today, we're going to show you how to use Instagram stories to drive sales without being pushy, weird, or salesy.
So here's the problem. You're posting stories. People are watching, but the sales, crickets. If you're posting every day, but you're still wondering if anyone actually buys from your stories, if you're showing behind the scenes, doing polls, using the link sticker, and still not seeing results, then something is missing, okay? But the good news is that it's not about being more engaging in your stories. It's about being more intentional. Your stories are not broken, but they're not built to sell either, okay? So we're gonna go over what that looks like today.
Okay, so we're going to go over three things. And the first thing is what kind of content builds a brand people can trust and that they will buy from. Next, we're going to go over what to say in stories that creates value. And then last, we're going to go over what you can use as a huge advantage, even if your story views are low. And with that, I will kick it back over to Becca.
Okay, so you've probably been told not to post personal content, that it's unprofessional, it's off-brand, but I disagree with that completely, okay? I encourage my clients to post personal stuff to their stories, okay? And there's a strategy to that, right? You don't want to be only posting personal stuff, which is why Sean just explained the three things that are important in order to sell on your stories. But I remember there was a time in my business where I was going through a big launch and I had my assistant post to my stories for me because I was like, listen, I need to take this off of my plate. So personal stuff didn't go up on the stories. Instead, it was mostly promotional stuff, mostly just, buy this, some valuable stuff, some other stuff that we're going to go over. But the personal stuff was not there. And what happened is sales dropped, story views dropped, engagement dropped like crazy, okay? I typically get on average maybe 20,000 views on a story. I was getting 2,000 views average on a story when my assistant was posting to my stories for me, okay? That's a huge percentage drop from not posting that personal stuff. And the truth is people buy when they feel like they know you, okay? Not just what you're selling, but know you, your face, your voice, your life. These are trust builders that make your brand unforgettable. And personal content creates that brand magnetism, that feeling that someone just vibes with you and wants to support your work, even if they're not sure why yet. This kind of content builds emotional resonance. This is when people start to see themselves in you. And it creates something called brand stickiness, okay? This is when they remember you, even when they scroll past you. And it builds a rock solid sales foundation because when somebody's already sold on you, your offers land way faster, right? We're told to show value, but people don't typically buy from just value, let alone faceless value, okay? They buy from somebody who feels real. And personal content gives people something to connect with emotionally, even before they realize that you have something to offer them, okay? It doesn't have to be that deep. It can be a picture of your morning walk or a picture of your lunch, but as long as it's real, right? Real is what builds the relationship, and relationships convert faster than content alone. So many people are scared to post personal content because they feel like it's off-brand, but I'd argue if your brand doesn't include you, you're going to blend in, okay? Personal content isn't a distraction. It is the foundation of a profitable brand. So post this to your stories, okay? All the time. The next thing is story-based value that sells. I used to think giving value just meant teaching, right? So I'd jump on stories with my tips and tricks and hope that somebody would be impressed enough to buy. And that worked on occasion. I felt like I was giving away everything and getting nothing back. And then I realized I wasn't leading them anywhere, okay? I was just helping. I was just becoming the helpful friend. And helpful is not the same thing as profitable, okay? Value doesn't just mean education. True value in your stories is about direction, right? You give people a quick win and then show them what to do next. So something I will do a lot is I will post to my story and I will say, hey, comment DM if you want the checklist that I use to batch 30 days of content. And they'll DM me and I will send them the 30 days of content. And alongside of that, I'll attach a little call to action, like if this was helpful to you, or if you want to learn how to batch this content faster and easier and blah, blah, blah. Check out Filmed and Finished or check out this course. And so I'm giving them value and then I'm leading them into a direction. I'm bridging that gap. Like, hey, if this was valuable, you want to make it faster and easier, try this next, okay? And that's when I would recommend setting up an automation for that, because doing this manually, especially when you have a lot of followers, it's going to take a lot of time, okay? But what this does is it creates conversation, not just consumption. You're training your audience to raise their hand, to engage, and to take action, not just lurk on your stories and leave. So most creators, they just stop at the value, right? But if you don't point the way, people will just say thanks and keep scrolling. So your story should teach and land, because likes don't pay the bills, right? Conversions do. Okay, let's talk about frequency, because this is something that I know you guys struggle with. There was a time that I would only post stories when I had something to say. And when you're only posting when you feel like you have something to say, maybe you post 5 times in one day, but then maybe you don't post again for 5 days, right? And I would wonder why sales felt inconsistent. But the truth is, it's not the smartest person who gets paid, it's the most present, okay? Ever notice how you start trusting a brand because you see them everywhere? That's not an accident. That is psychology. People trust what they see the most, not what they interact with the most, not whose Google reviews are the best, but who they straight up see the most. And that's why even your low view stories are doing more than you think, okay? Frequency builds familiarity, and familiarity builds trust. You don't need crazy engagement or aesthetics, okay? You need repetition. Let people feel like they know you. Consistency is far more important than a high story count, okay? Post when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet, because someone's watching, and most buyers lurk long before they leap. So if you are only showing up when you have something polished to say, you're losing trust in those gaps. Like, you don't need to be perfect. You need to be present, because in marketing, visibility is currency, and your stories are like a daily deposit into that bank account. Bare minimum, post your stories at least 4 times a day. I am telling you, show up every single day, okay? They don't have to be these well thought out stories, and some of them can be, but like I said, some of them can just be some fun personal things that you did that day, and it will get people to feel like they know you and they trust you and they see you. And when they see you over and over again, just like all those other brands that you see over and over and over again, they're going to trust you.
Okay, so we have personal content that converts, we have story-based value that sells, and we have frequency. Okay, so personal content, this creates connection. The value-based content creates direction. It points back towards you as the authority. And then frequency, this creates trust. And so when you start layering these things together and you have personal and value, for example, right here, this creates relatability. Now this is where people like you and they learn from you. Over here, where story-based value and frequency combines, this creates familiarity. This is where people feel like they know you. And then over here, when personal combines with frequency, this creates confidence and certainty that your direction and your presence can help them move forward towards their goals and solving their problems. So when we combine all these together, this is how we use Instagram stories to drive sales without being annoying. Okay, so we just walked you how to sell on Instagram using stories, but the thing is, if you don't look like an authority, nobody's going to be following you or watching or paying attention to any of that to begin with, and none of this matters. So I would like to invite you to watch another video that we created that talks about how to create that instant authority. We also created a free GPT that you can just import into your ChatGPT account, and it will actually give you all the suggestions as to how to get that instant credibility so that you can do all the steps that we just walked you through. And you can watch that video, I don't know, I'm new to this. Where do these go? Somewhere over here.
If you found value in this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. We drop a new training video every single Friday.
Thank you.